What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be doing yet another comparison review, this time of two beers from the 21st Amendment Brewery, and they are headquartered in San Leandro, California, and I have their Brew Free or Die and their Blood Orange Brew Free or Die. So the base beer is an IPA that comes in at 6.8% alcohol by volume and 65 IBUs, while the Blood Orange variant is an IPA that is brewed with blood orange and natural flavor. It comes in at 7% alcohol by volume and 70 IBUs at the time of review. The base is approximately 5 weeks old, while the Blood Orange variant is approximately 6 weeks old, and that's because the Blood Orange variant was canned 8 days prior to the base. So this is going to be fun, I think. At least I hope so. We used to get pretty good distribution of 21st Amendment going back about 10 years. However, over time, it has dwindled down to basically here in the Buffalo, New York area, we can pick up their, Hell or High Watermelon. I reviewed that I want to say back in 2019 on the channel. Outside of that, we really don't see any of their stuff until recently. Showed up to one of my favorite local bottle shops here in the Buffalo, New York area, and I think like 4 or 5 beers came in from them. These two, they had a hazy version of this, maybe like a black IPA version of it, and maybe another beer. I wanted to pick up these two because I've had the base beer before, so full disclosure. However, I never had the Blood Orange one. I always wanted to try it. So I thought we would do like a side-by-side. Now, the base of Blood Orange is a bit different than the regular Brew Free or a Die. More or less, they are each brewed with 6 different hop varieties, and they only share 3 of those hops: CTZ, Centennial, and Cascade. Otherwise, they have some different hop combinations going on, different hop bill in general, and this one has blood orange and natural flavor. So I'm curious to see which one I prefer. I think it's supposed to be like a West Coast IPA, the base, so I'm expecting, to be more of a West Coast beer. We'll see. It's probably going to look like one, I hope anyway. So at the end, we're going to do the cuvee, aka the cuvee, as I fucking duff the pour. And as always, I'm going to get out those paper towels in a second. Bounty still hasn't come through with the sponsorship yet. Maybe someday. They're looking pretty similar, if I'm being honest here. I think that should be fine. Let me get these Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. When you spill beer, one little half sheet will do you. I've had a couple people call me out on using, having a little bit of OCD, and I'm fine with it because I apparently do, because I do this in probably about a third of the reviews at this point. But anyway, so we'll put them both on the sides over here. Now, how do these look? Let me try to swirl up ahead here. We'll do the same here, and then we'll do a nice little comparison here. All right, so we'll do something like this. All right, so the Blood Orange one definitely looks a bit darker. And if they're brewing it with true Blood Orange, that makes sense. However, why is it so hard? Like I'm holding it, I feel like I'm doing a shit job here. But they both have very fine particulates that won't show up on camera. The head on the Blood Orange is about double the size, maybe 1.5 times the size of the base. That has more of, both of these are more of like a bright white kind of soap sudsy looking beer. This one is more of like a yellow golden color. A little bit more of that golden kind of look to it, although it has some haze. This one over here, similar to this one, but again, a bit darker, a little bit more of an orange kind of darker gold, almost into like I don't know, I want to say brass or bronze. It's not that dark, but hold it up to the light. Yeah, definitely a little bit darker, just a little bit darker. On camera, it's probably going to look the same, and you guys are going to be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Absolutely okay with that. Is the truth. I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time. But yeah, they good carbonation. Everything looks good. Would I say it looks like a West Coast? Yeah, I mean, it has fine particulates, a little bit hazy, but maybe not. They call it West Coast IPA on their website and on Instagram, so it is what it is. Anyway, nose. This smells like an old school West Coast IPA. Bready, a little bit of caramel, big orange and grapefruit. Like, it's juicy, but you get the pith and the rind and everything. It smells like more of like a bittering citrus. Maybe a touch of a pineapple, like a floral pine thing going on. Yeah, it just smells like a quintessential West Coast IPA. Not more going on with that than what I thought. Let's get a nose on this. This is fucking straight up orange. But we got to be honest, that's what we do here. They're brewing it with both blood orange and natural flavor. Not sure what the natural flavor's for. This smells more like a candied orange. It's very akin to, recently I did that orange twist from Southern Tier. If you watch the channel or you're a viewer of the channel, it was a big imperial ale that's supposed to mimic like orange sherbet, or Perry's ice cream here in the Buffalo, New York, Western New York area has a ice cream called Orange Twist, which is basically vanilla plus orange sherbet. And that one had like a synthetic kind of artificial kind of orange. That's what I'm getting out of here. I wouldn't say necessarily like a lot of people say pine sol when it comes to like lemon and smelling pine. Like this has more of like that orangey, like Murphy's oil soap, like the oil cleaner. It has that like orange scent to it. Yeah, it's pretty much the predominant note. Like there's not a lot of the base IPA. This is very heavy on that orange, like that natural artificial orange. Doesn't smell bad because I don't mind that. It's just, I wish it smelled more like an authentic blood orange. Yeah, my preference is this all day long. So let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. That's solid. It's, again, the first time I had this, I remember not loving it because when I first had it, I didn't love West Coast IPAs. Now I'm starting to come around to them the last couple of years. Couple hop forward styles that I'm enjoying is West Coast IPAs and black IPAs. This is definitely an old school, a true old school West Coast IPA in the taste. Body for 6.8, medium body, it's fine. Mouthfeel, it's old school. It's crisp, it has a moderate carbonation. It's smooth on the palate, but not much else outside of that. Appropriate, both the body and mouthfeel. The taste, forefront, bready, a little bit of caramel, dies underneath the palate, then orange, grapefruit. It's definitely more pithy and rindy than it is like juicy. Midway through the palate, I'm getting a little bit like a stone fruit or a tropical, touch of pineapple, touch of like a mango. But on the finish, it's piney, has a resinous pine characteristic, a little bit of a floral nature too. This finish is semi to full on dry with a moderate bitterness. So this is, again, old school West Coast IPA. Nothing wrong with it, but obviously it's been around for a very long time. And I don't remember loving this one. It's better than what I remember. I think I gave this one, I originally had like a 3.5, but it's not like substantially better and it's not kind of like blowing my mind or anything. So I do enjoy it. It's just not anything special to my palate, but it's still nice. We'll see. We'll see after we go through this and see which one I prefer. But that's nice. It's solid. It's a solid, good West Coast, old school West Coast IPA. So let's see what the blood orange variant has to offer. Cheers. So the taste, the orange, isn't as vibrant, and also it doesn't feel as natural. It's definitely there and you can tell it has an orange vibe for sure. Body, mouthfeel. Very similar to this one. Despite being 0.2% higher, it's like lower side of medium, right around medium body. It's fine. The mouthfeel, crisp, smooth on the palate, moderate carbonation. Very similar bodies and mouthfeels, which is nice. I think they're appropriate for what these beers are. The taste, kind of everything you get in this one, but with like an extra kick of orange. So again, bready caramel malt dies underneath the palate. Not as pronounced, I say, as the base. Again, because that orange characteristic and the natural flavor is kind of, I don't say it's dominating, but it's kind of muddying the waters as far as like, tasting notes go. But there's grapefruit, there's tangerine, there's orange at the forefront, pithy, rindy, not as juicy. Passes through. I don't really get that pineapple mango, but on the finish, resinous pine floral, and it finishes with that orange characteristic is omnipresent, but it's subtle. Again, it has more of like a slightly candied, slightly like, again, natural orange flavor. It doesn't taste like straight up blood orange in my glass. I think I like this a little bit better because the orange is bringing a uniqueness and a complexity that this one lacks a little bit. But I think I would happily drink either of these. I'd have to be in the mood for one of these two to drink. Like if I want a West Coast IPA and this reasonably priced, I wanted to grab a can of it, yeah, I would grab this. If I want something with a little bit more of an orange kick, I'd grab that. Neither of them you can really tell are, big ABV. There's no warming in the chest, nothing on the palate. They're just pretty well done, I think. Again, not like my favorite or anything, but I think they're solid. Yeah, that just has more beer flavor, where this, I can already tell you, it's a little bit different because of that orange. Yeah, this was cool to do, but I don't love either of these beers, so I got to be honest with the rating. However, before we give a rating, I'm going to pour a little bit of this in here like that, okay? That's not that much, right? Something like that, right? Yeah, so I'm going to pour the rest into here, pour the rest into here, and then I'm going to give a rating on both of these. So the Brew Free or Die IPA, I am going to give this a straight 3.75 out of 5. I think like that's the best that I can probably do on this one, because I think it's a well-made, solid West Coast IPA, but it's too by the book, I guess. This is like a good quintessential version of the style, but there's nothing new here. There's nothing different. It's just, it reminds me of old school West Coast IPAs from 10 to 12 years ago that I had that I didn't like back then that I feel are a little bit better nowadays. So 3.75, solid score. I'm going to give the blood orange version a high 3.75. I'm going to go 3.85. I liked it a little bit better. I wish that the blood orange character was a little bit more natural tasting, because again, it has a little bit more of that like synthetic kind of orange, but I think it helps out the beer as a whole, and I do enjoy it. So, and yeah, we'll do a little bit of how do we do the thumbnails here? Nobody cares but me, so keep that in mind, Joe. Yes, wasting time in reviews. Anyway, who the fuck cares? Yosef. All right, so we are now going to do the cuvee, aka the cuvee, the mixed of the two. Let me cleanse the palate because this is super serious. Joe, super serious. All right, let's get a nose on it. Ooh. Wow, it smells like this with a little bit of orange, where this did not smell like this with a little bit of orange, which, again, they tweaked the hops and stuff, a little bit bigger ABV and IBU, but the cuvee smells much better. Yeah, wow, that smells really good. Best aroma of the bunch. Cheers. Let's see what this one is all about. I like that better than both. Wow. What it did was it took the orange characteristic and dialed it down a little bit. It's still noticeable, and you get more of the base of this, which is my preference. Body mouthfeel similar. The taste very similar. It's just like this, but you made it a little bit more authentic. I'd give that like a 3.95 into the 4 range. I think I like the cuvee a little bit better. All right, price point availability. Both of these were $10.99 a 6-pack, which is great. Under $2 a can for almost 7%. West Coast IPA, blood orange West Coast IPA, sure, all day long. And availability, I have no idea. We just started seeing their stuff again here in the Buffalo, New York area. So if you see 21st Amendment stuff, you should see both of these beers. So this was fun to do. I'll be honest with you. I'm probably going to mix these two and drink the rest of them tonight. I think the cuvee is much better. And I'll be, when it comes to, I was going to say, I'll be honest with you again for a second time. I already said it, Joe. What the fuck's wrong with you? You might be hammered. When I drink beers I do side by side, more often than not, the cuvee kind of misses for me. So I'll drink the rest of this and that'll be it. With these two beers, the preference is the cuvee. It has a smoother overall just feeling on the palate. And that orange isn't too much, where I feel like with just the orange, too much of that natural orange flavor. I wish it was authentic again. I'm not picking up on it. Maybe you pick up on it and I don't. So if you've had either of these beers, if you've done a side-by-side like this, post in the comment section. Maybe I'll pick up the hazy at some point and review it this summer, assuming that we continue to get distro from them. I'll be curious to see what they do with the hazy IPA, because this is basically a West Coast. This is a fruited West Coast, or just a fruited IPA. So I'd like to see what they do with the hazy, but this is a fun side-by-side. If you can get your hands on both of these, give it a go. See which one you prefer. But yeah, this was another review in which I'm reviewing beers that I deem our shelfie beers for the month of May 2024. And I don't do a lot of side-by-sides for shelfie beers, but I thought we're going to do it this time around. So I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Yeah, I want to say one thing I think both these beers have, this so more than this, they have a nice bitterness to them. Now that I'm drinking them, they're more like closer to moderate bitterness. So it has a firm bitterness, both of them. This is a little bit more bitter than the Blood Orange variant, but I think they both bring that to the table, and I do enjoy that a little bit more nowadays. I just think a little bit more of a robust nature to either of these beers, a little bit more of an intensity maybe to the flavors as a whole. I would have got both of these into the 4 range, but as is, I still think it's a solid score, and I do highly recommend trying out either of these if you can get them for like a couple bucks a can, or, you know, around $10 to $11 a 6-pack. I think it's worth it. Anyway, I'm going to shut this one down, probably like 20+ minute review. Side-by-sides on my channel, usually a normal review for me is around 10 minutes long. So when you put 2 beers, it's usually around 20 minutes long. Maybe it'll be a little bit, you know, in the 16, 17 minute range, maybe 23-minute range. I have no idea. If you watch to the end, don't post anything in the comment section. That's kind of, I do that, and then people are like, no, I'm not posting anything, Joe, and I totally get it. So anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.